The European Union is in a very challenging situation at the moment. First of all, the international environment is considerably changing, so it has to step up its external policies from foreign policy to security and defense, but also it has to review its approach to trade and then also global governance issues such as climate change. And that will be a big task for the next 5 years. But then internally, the EU also continues to be challenged. First of all, we know that the Eurozone, which now includes a large share of countries, in particular when the UK leaves, is not totally crisis resilient, so more has to be done there. In addition, for all EU member states, there is a question of rising inequality between EU member states, but also within EU countries. So the social side and the economic growth question will be very relevant for the next 5 years as well. And then comes the topic of technological transition, which in a way is the backdrop against all of those challenges, against which all of those challenges have to be tackled. It has an external dimension, the competition with China and to some extent with the United States, but then also the question of internal industrial policy, competition policy, the way Europe can enhance its competitiveness, not to lose out on technological progress, and how it will transform societies very deeply, because basically the nature of work will change, the number of jobs that can be provided within Europe will probably decline, and hence there are big challenges ahead. My firm belief is that the EU will only be developed further if France and Germany cooperate very constructively. At the moment, the couple doesn't work very well. There have been a lot of disappointments on the lack of a German answer, for instance, to Emmanuel Macron, the French president. There are policy differences between the two countries, but this is nothing new. The point is, we are moving towards deeper European integration in a number of policy fields, such as the Eurozone or also defense, where those national differences really start to matter. And that's why a very close exchange between the two governments, but also more broadly between the two societies, is key. But then, even if there's a Franco-German consensus, this doesn't help unless both partners actually involve other Europeans very early on. And what we are seeing really for the first time in European history is that there are groups of countries that actually line up against Germany and France. For instance, the so-called Hanseatic League, a group of Nordic countries mostly, that has issued statements basically against Franco-German initiatives on the Eurozone. So what all of this shows is that the task of political consensus building has not become easier at all, and it's not unnatural because it is so substantive what we are discussing now in terms of further steps of integration. They touch sovereignty. It's a lot about regaining sovereignty together on the European level, so it's natural that countries diverge. However, the task to move Europe forward is very clear, and Germany and France, together with the EU institutions and other EU partners, of course, have a key responsibility to move things ahead. The new European Commission starts with an ambitious program which basically reflects the external and the internal challenges. The key job at this point is, first of all, to get support from the European Parliament for the commissioners that have been proposed by the member states and selected by the President of the Commission to head certain portfolios. But then this is an ongoing challenge for the new European Commission to construct very stable working relationships with the European Parliament. One reason for this is that this Parliament is as polarized as no Parliament has been before, and as fragmented as none of them has been before. And secondly, because the Commission will have to rely on close working relationships with the other supranational institutions, the Parliament, because we are living in a time where national sovereignty is strongly emphasized by member governments, and some of the member states really don't want progress to happen quickly. So it's in their own self-interest to work together closely between those two institutions, but then also, of course, to work closely with the member states. The new Commission President will have to make sure that she is not perceived as representing German interest. But of course, she has a lot of political weight. She's well known, a long-term German national politician with a very strong European reputation. And so I think she has a big opportunity here to use the fact that she is German without being too German in her policy positions. And if you look at the first statements and the policy programs she has essentially put forward, there are some ideas which clearly do not reflect traditional German positions, such as her position that there should be a European unemployment insurance scheme. That is a very unusual statement for a German conservative politician.